I'll call it a welcome home video for Greg Holland. He now of the Rockies. Another guy that returns to Kansas City that used to pitch here, that would be Buddy Black. And you see Bud during warm-ups today. Saw a lot of people, a lot of familiar faces. He threw in over 200 games for the Royals in 7 seasons. Now, he threw in 398 in his career. So as you can tell, the majority of them were here in Kansas City, including 6 postseason games. He spent time Monday golfing with George Brett. It's a good time to return to a place that he played a lot of baseball.
What a good place this was for a lot of us in the 80s. I was with George yesterday. We spent a great day together, and talked about some of the old times and some of our old teammates. It was wonderful. But this place, Kansas City, this ballpark holds special memories for me, my family, my ex-teammates. It's really, really good stuff.
As I said, 7 years as a Royal for Buddy Black. It's a great setting here. He did not manage with the Padres at Kauffman Stadium, but he's here for the next 3 days with the Rockies. And of course, we have baseball, interleague baseball, coming your way next. Kansas City, the city of fountains. John Gray will be on the hill against Danny Duffy. We will get you first pitch from KC when we come back.
You will see it for long. It's only been about 3 years, but the Rockies are back in Kansas City. Interleague play continues. This is the final interleague road series for Colorado this year. They'll play tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday afternoon at Kauffman Stadium, right along I-70. They refurbished it several years ago. It's a beautiful ballpark with the fountains in the background. Very large scoreboard in center field. The Rockies come in 12 games north of 500. The Royals very much in the wild card hunt. if not the division hunt in the American League Central. They come in a game over 500 at 62-61. Veteran Danny Duffy on the mound for Kansas City. Charlie Blackmon will begin things for the Rockies. And let's take a look at the Southwest batting order tonight for Colorado. There was an immediate change. Mark Reynolds was followed by Gerardo Parra. Parra got plunked the other day on his right thigh from his former teammate Chase Anderson, and it tightened up during batting practice, so he was a late scratch, and Tapia was added to the lineup. He'll bat ninth. Lucroy, Cargo, Story, Valleca all slid up a spot in the Southwest batting order tonight for Colorado. They began a 6-game road trip, 3 here and then 3 in Atlanta. Well, this was Sunday, and this was a fastball that missed by like 3 feet. Parra was upset.
He should be. That looked like it hurt.
First pitch of the ball game at 93, strike 1 from Danny Duffy, the 28-year-old native of California. 7 and 8, a 3.82 ERA coming in. Last year he had a ERA at 3.51, and this is broken back. Ground ball to second. Some more on Danny Duffy. He has struggled his last 3 outings. He's given up quite a bit of runs. He usually keeps the ball in the ballpark. That's one of his MOs, even though he's more of a fly ball pitcher.
Well, the Royals rewarded him after a breakout season in 2016 by signing him to a 5-year deal. This year we've seen the velocity dip down a bit, especially the last 3 starts. The fastball can get up to about 95, 96 miles an hour. He'll pretty much pitch primarily fastball, slider, and will occasionally mix in a changeup.
Kind of sneaky quick. LeMahieu at 312. DJ is 1 for 6 lifetime against Duffy. He had 3 walks on Sunday in the Rockies' 8-4 loss. That has to be one of the 3 or 4 poorest games the Rockies have played all year.
Especially when you know it's on the line. Milwaukee Brewers are nipping at your heels. You need to win these type of baseball games, especially in your home ballpark, where you want to have a...
That's down the right field line and just foul.
You want to have a home series where you have a better than 500 record, and the Rockies ended up 3-4.
Sunday, the Rockies made 4 errors, which I need not tell you is really uncharacteristic of them. They are still the #1 defensive team by fielding percentage in baseball. The #2 team is the team they're playing tonight, the Kansas City Royals. That was the first and hopefully only 4-error game you'll see from the Rockies this year. 1 and 2 on LeMahieu. And Duffy spins a curveball. 2 and 2. He also has a good changeup. Doesn't walk guys, only 8 in his last 9 starts.
He has seen a drop, though, from nearly a 10 strikeouts per 9 to about 8 this season from a year ago.
DJ down the line, and that is a foul ball. Would have been quite a break if it was a fair ball because it hit Lance Barksdale. Dan Iasagna is the crew chief. He's behind the plate. Eric Cooper at first, Roberto Ortiz at second, and the aforementioned Lance Barksdale at third. So DJ with 1 out. Another 2-2 pitch up coming from Duffy. That's the changeup. He's got a really good one. 2 outs. Take a look at the Royals defensively. They are thrilled that they welcome back that man, one of the more talented catchers in the game, Salvador Perez. He's been out for 16 days with the intercostal strain. He's battled some muscle issues in his midsection throughout the year, but he's Guy that's been an all-star on many occasions, a Gold Glover. Hosmer's great at first base as well. He has 3 Gold Gloves. This, as I said, is a very good defensive team. Here's Nolan, 2 outs, nobody on, and he takes a strike. Nolan in his career 7 for 15 against the Royals. He was here in 2014, the last time the Rockies played here. Rockies just 2-6 all time at Kauffman Stadium. Billy, you played here. This park plays big.
Plays huge. So in order to score runs here, you can't count on the long ball. Have to put quality at bats together. 415 to 410 to center field. 387's in the gap.
2-1 on Arenado. Nolan 1 for 3. Couple walks on Sunday. He had a double. 7 for 22 overall on that 7-game homestand. 1 for 3 against Danny Duffy. 3-1.
Nolan comes into tonight's game against lefties, leading the National League with the .402 batting average. Rockies on the season
20-14 against left-handed starters, which is one of the better marks in baseball. 3-1. And he didn't give in with a fastball. 3-2, another changeup.
We'll see with the late scratch of Gerardo Parra how this affects the Rockies, because Mark Reynolds on deck has not fared well against lefties this season. Behind Reynolds would have been Parra, who has beat up lefties.
2 of the best this year in the game against lefties. 2 lefties for the Rockies. That's ball 4. Parra and Charlie Blackmon, in addition, obviously, to Nolan. Now, this is unusual. Just the 10th walk since July 1st for Danny Duffy. So he's very careful with Arenado, understandably so. And here's Mark Reynolds.
And I think over the course of tonight's game with Danny Duffy, he's going to try to avoid Nolan. He's going to make Mark Reynolds beat him.
Off-speed pitch. Reynolds had a good homestand. Hit 3 home runs, 7 for 22, drove in 9. He can start to percolate again. That would be huge for a lineup that's been inconsistent beyond the top 3 or 4. That's a strike also. The top 3 have been a joke. They've been so good. Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Nolan. Parra's had a great season. Mark's had a really good year. He just cooled off a little bit, so it was great to see him hit the long ball last week at home. Strike 3 on 3 pitches. He's able to freeze Mark Reynolds. So the Rockies go fairly quietly in the first inning. John Gray to the mound in Kansas City when we get back. First to 3. John Gray is about set to go. This will be his 14th start of the year, his 51st career start.
And for John Gray, it's about command of his fastball. If he can pitch off the fastball, we know he can get the strikeouts, one of the best strikeout percentages in Rockies history. And for him, the occasional curveball has become a very good weapon for him. He'll steal strikes now. You'll see him throw a 2-1 curveball, throw it in there to get the strike, and then put himself in a position to strike out the batter with another pitch right after it.
John ready to go with the big fastball. And here's Whit Merrifield, star at the University of South Carolina. That's leadoff every night for Ned Yost, plays second base. And Gray's first pitch of the night at the knees, a little bit below the knees, ball 1. Merrifield is 2 for his last 24 at the plate. And he fouls that back. Royals had a miserable April. They went 7-16. But since then, they've played good baseball. They're 55-45, 10 games north of 500, which is the 4th best record since May 1st in the American League. John sliders a strike, and it's 1-2. Slider, the other key pitch naturally for him. It's his swing and miss pitch. The league hitting just 177 against the Gray Wolves slider. 1-2 on Merrifield. There's the slider again.
Looking at this Kansas City Royals team, they basically rallied because they have a bunch of players that are going to be free agents. And this is a group that went to back-to-back World Series. They ended up losing one, and then the following year getting back to it. I felt like this unit rallied around each other to stick as teammates for one last push.
They knocked off the Mets 2 years ago to capture the World Series. I think, fans here were thrilled they got there in 14, disappointed naturally in the result. And to their credit, they get back the next year. And this was a team that had a 30-year drought, going back to when Buddy was part of that '85 World Championship team in the I-70 series. Another 1-2, sharply hit past DJ, a leadoff single for Merrifield. Here's the Southwest batting order tonight for Kansas City. Got some pop in this lineup. Lorenzo Cain will bat second. Melky Cabrera came down from the White Sox. He's batting in the 3 spot. And then it's one of the game's better players, Eric Hosmer, batting .315. He's got 20 home runs. Salvador Perez back in there. He has 21 home runs. Mike Moustakas, he's one shy of the all-time Royals record for home runs. He's got 35. And then it's Brandon Moss, Alcides Escobar, and the struggling Alex Gordon. Speed combination in Whitfield and Cain. And it's not just that they steal bases. They steal them at a really high success rate. Merrifield's 22 of 24. Lorenzo Cain is 23 out of 25. They put immediate pressure on a defense. Cain's been putting pressure on the defense at the plate. He's hitting .403 in the second half, which is 3rd best in the American League. Whitfield takes off, big jump, and Lucroy's throw. Didn't quite get him. The tag, if it was applied by DJ, it was hard from our angle to tell. Toward the lower portion of the body, so Merrifield has his 23rd stolen base.
Perfect jump, gets a great big lead. When you're looking at a stolen base type guy, it's all about your first step and then how big of a lead can you get. Whit gets a very large lead and Reed's first movement.
Lorenzo Cain riding a 7-game hitting streak. And that's low. 2-1. Kansas City was off like the Rockies yesterday. They concluded a series at home against Cleveland on Sunday with a win. They lost the first couple of games of that series. They won 7-4 on Sunday. Good pitch. With delayed strike call. Looked pretty good though. 2-2. Ned Yost, the former Brewer skipper, done great things here in Kansas City. He was asked after that victory on Sunday about the wild card chase. He said, it's not just about the wild card chase. We're trying to capture the American League Central. We're not giving up that prize. They're a little bit back in the American League Central, but he wasn't ready to concede. That's a big and much needed strikeout. Cain goes down. There's one out. That'll bring up the switch hitting veteran Melky Cabrera. Here's the defense for the Rockies tonight, trying to bounce back after that very difficult outing on Sunday. Jonathan Lucroy has already played once here at Kansas City this season when he was still playing for the Rangers. And Tapia takes over for Parra. Late scratch Gerardo, and Tapia is in left. Cabrera hit .295 with 13 home runs with the White Sox. Hit 15 out of 20 since the trade. That's a good breaking ball also. Really pleasant night. It's not very humid tonight. 76 degrees at game time, not a cloud in the sky. And a ground ball to second. DJ's got it. That's the second out. As Merrifield crosses to third. Rockies made a couple of moves today. Mike Tauchman was optioned back to AAA Albuquerque. Ryan Hannigan, remember he pulled his groin on Sunday. He was placed on the DL. So Tony Walters is back with the club, and of course Raimel Tapia. Tapia, if you're wondering why wasn't he brought up 3 days ago when the Rockies made a roster move, he had been sent out within the previous 10 days. You cannot come back if you were just sent out. You have to wait 10 days. And that's a ball that gets through Jonathan Lucroy, and it cost the Rockies a run.
That's very unfortunate for the Rockies for several reasons. Number one, just throwing a ball away for this run to score. But number two, John Gray has been very good with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. 1 for 23 on the season. These are the type of plays that Bud Black was mentioning. You have to play better quality baseball and not just give stuff away. That's what the Rockies have been doing, whether it's a pass ball in a situation like this, whether it's walks with 2 outs, or not scoring runners from third base with less than 2 outs without even getting a hit.
Yep, gift run. Hosmer takes a fastball up high. We haven't officially scored that. I'm guessing it's going to be a pass ball. It didn't hit the dirt. It is a pass ball.
And with that pass ball, that's the 16th on the season for the Rockies, second most in baseball.
It's a bouncing ball to DJ, and That run should not have come in. Very costly. Whitfield, or calling Whitfield, Merrifield, Whit Merrifield.
I like
comes around and scores.
Whitfield.
In baseball, forget North Carolina. If you hunt and fish, you'd be a part-time major leaguer. Rockies down 1-0 with Ryan Spilborghs and Mark Stout. I'm Drew Goodman. Jonathan Lucroy in the second against Danny Duffy. Lucroy hitting .318 in a Rockies uniform. And he takes a strike. So the .456 on base percentage in 15 ball games. He started 13 times, now 14 with tonight. Taking over the #1 duties behind the plate. Two-strike count. Fastball at 94, up and away, but one Lucroy couldn't let pass. As you can see, it was very much in the Subaru strike zone.
Pretty amazing when you look at Lucroy's season numbers, maybe not the power and the numbers that he's expected, but only 36 strikeouts in 325 at-bats.
It's an easy play for Hosmer. 1 out. Here's what happened right before first pitch tonight. The former Royal and current Major League leader in saves, Greg Holland. We had a nice video tribute to Greg, who is so popular here and so successful. 4th on their all-time saves list with 145. That was Greg before the game. Got a lot of media obligations today. Rockies are glad he's wearing the purple now. Gargo had a 3-hit day on Sunday. He's got his average up to 245. He's hitting well over 300 in the month of August. One of the big differences we've noticed, he has gotten himself in much better counts the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Just tells you that he's seen the baseball a lot better. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting .292 against lefties. Before that, he was hitting .208.
And he held up there 2-0. So here's his season month by month, and he probably wishes we wouldn't show the first 4 months. The OPS, very uncargo-like, 750 is the league average. In August, 859. (2-0), and this is popped up. Perez in front of the plate. 2 outs. Two outs. That'll bring up Story. Talking to Nolan about Duffy before the ball game, and he's one of those guys that hitters like yourself like to describe as sneaky. You can't just look up and say, oh, he's 93, 92. The ball seems to get on you a little bit.
There's some deception there. Short arm swing. Danny Duffy's from my neck of the woods. Born in a hospital in Goleta, which is right outside of Santa Barbara. Went to high school at Cabrillo High School, which is in Lompoc, California.
Glad you clarified that it was a hospital, not like a cab.
Yeah, it was a cab in Goleta.
Oh, it was a cab in Goleta. Okay. Called strike 2, 0-2 on Story. Trevor had an interesting homestand. The strikeouts were still there. Struck out 10 times in 24 at bats, but he had 7 hits. 3 of the hits were home runs. So had a couple doubles. And a changeup strikes out Story. So the Rockies go 1-2-3 in the second. They trail 1-0 middle of 2 at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Colorado Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by the 2017 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores. By Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. And by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Bottom of the second, 1-0. John Gray has his first pitch fouled off by Salvador Perez. You heard it from the crowd when he came back. Immensely popular here. Again, he missed the last 2.5 weeks with an intercostal strain. Club hung in there. They were 6-8 without him. One of the bigger catchers in baseball. 6'3", 240. Just joining us, the run for Kansas City scored in an unfortunate way. That just blew him away. With 2 outs and Whit Merrifield at third base, It was a pass ball on a fastball down that went right past Lucroy's backhand all the way to the backstop, and that's how that run scored. Home runs among third basemen this year. Mike Moustakas and Joey Gallo at Texas tied for the Major League lead with 35 apiece. Miguel Sano, then Nolan, Jake Lamb, and Travis Shaw. Shaw we just saw with Milwaukee. First pitch misses down low to Moustakas. Time he comes up, the crowd yells, "Moose."
I thought they were booing him.
No, they don't boo in here. He's got 35 home runs. This is his home park. Not gonna boo him.
This is a year after last year, 2016. Moustakas had 7 home runs, 13 RBIs. He was injured. But his career high was 22 home runs in 2015, so a very big jump to 35.
One of the reasons the Royals were able to turn their whole organization around, this is in the air to Charlie, they were bad for a while, and they took advantage, to Dayton Moore's credit, of a lot of high picks. Eric Hosmer in 08 was the 3rd pick in the draft. We know what kind of player Eric Hosmer is. Moustakas, who just flew out, in 07 was the 2nd player taken in the draft. You can't miss on those. First round picks miss about half the time, but if you have a 1, a 2, a 3, John Gray was a 3. Great pick by the Rockies. You can't miss. It really sets you back if you do.
It really does. Even Alex Gordon.
Bad year this year, but Alex Gordon's been a good player for Kansas City. And he was the 2nd player taken in the draft. Look at Washington, one of the elite teams in baseball. They had Strasburg, they had Bryce Harper, back-to-back drafts. Now Graves is pounding the strike zone. He's ahead of Moss, 2 strikes. Last couple of years, Moss was playing for the Cardinals. 33-year-old's been around a little bit. There's Big John's 0-2. Good pitch. That's a great 0-2 pitch. It was below the zone, but I'm sure it was pretty enticing.
Those are all right in that Subaru strike zone, and you love 2-strike pitches that look good but fall right out of the zone.
Fastball up. Rockies have been good in interleague play, 8-6 this year, trying to have their first winning season in interleague play since 2011. The Royals, who usually are really good, they've been bad. In fact, they've lost 7 in a row against the National League. This park, as we said, refurbished. They did a marvelous job, but because it is a little bit of an older park, plenty of room in the foul ground area. Two and two on Moss. Rockies do shift on Brandon Moss.
Definitely one of the bigger fields in baseball, just based on acreage. We know the Rockies, 2.88 acres. That's the largest by far. But a lot of foul territory here. Even though this field looks big and it's not at altitude, there's still plenty of hits out there. A lot of balls will fall in front of the outfielders.
Moss keeps fouling pitches off. It remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. And go away with a fastball and came back over the middle of the plate. Moss fouled that back. Here's a did you know about John Gray. John was drafted 3 times before signing. Out of high school, he was drafted by the Kansas City Royals in the 13th round. Went to junior college. The Yankees took him the next year in the 10th round. He did not sign. Then he went on to OU. Got him. Boy, a running fastball. Maybe been a changeup, actually. First we've seen. Good inning for Gray. Couple strikeouts.
He's made some moves today with Ryan Hannigan going on the DL with a bad groin. Tony Walters, the fan favorite, is back. And I asked him what he was really working on and trying to accomplish while he had his time down at AAA Albuquerque.
You know, I just wanted to keep working on slowing the game down with catching and working the pitchers and, you know, getting to know some of those guys down there because they're going to be coming up here soon and pitching. And, I want to get to know them, the pitcher side and the person side, and I feel like I accomplished that. I feel like I got to know a lot of the guys, and there's a lot of good guys down there, and they're really working hard, wanting to come up here and, you know, enjoying the process down there. So that was a main goal of going down there and, you know, keep working on my swing, keep trying to find what I know I'm capable of doing.
Pitcher-catcher relationship, it's a big deal. And he also told me he had a good talk with Jonathan Lucroy, too, because he got to see him finally really for the first time. So Tony is back.
Yeah, Tony will catch, I'm sure, the day game on Thursday. And there he's visiting with Jonathan Lucroy right on cue. Two strikes on Pat Valaika. Pat's the DH this evening. Raimel Tapia is on deck. And Valaika strikes out. That's 4 strikeouts already for Duffy. The Raimel comes up 287 average at the big league level, hitting well over 300 down in Albuquerque in the PCL. I was talking to Tony Walters, since we're on the Walters subject, before the ball game about a number of subjects, and one of them was Raimel, and he said, man, he was great down there. He's a gamer, Spilly. He shows up with the intent of doing something to try to beat the opposition every ball game. He loves to play. Hopefully he can give the Rockies a lift.
And that's what Bud's hoping for as well. And when you have a guy like Tapia that's had so much success in the minor leagues, you're hoping that that confidence just transfers over. But it's a big jump from AAA to the major leagues.
Duffy changing speeds beautifully so far. He's consistently been way ahead of Rockies hitters. Yeah, Raimel went back down his last time, went 16 of 38, a 421 average. So he doesn't pout. On the ground is short. Cetus Escobar goes out. Tapia, 2 gone. Charlie coming up, folks. When the Rockies score 7 runs or more, that would be a beautiful thing to see tonight. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. Let's watch Charlie and see his adjustments against Duffy.
Duffy in his last 3 games has a 6.35 ERA. He's 0-2 in 17 innings pitched. Has been getting a lot of strikeouts still. 24 strikeouts during that time frame, but 4 home runs he's given up.
Charlie was jammed and hit a 1-hopper to second his first time. Right now he's throwing all of his pitches for strikes. He's got the good changeup tonight. Do a slider for a strike. And another easy play on the right side. So Duffy has now retired 7 in a row. The only blemish in the game, a walk with 2 outs in the first inning to Arenado. 1-0 Royals. The Unlimited Baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. This is the longest active consecutive games played streak in baseball. He would be scoffed at by Cal Ripken. But Alcides Escobar, to his credit, not only has played 294 straight, he has started all 294 at a difficult spot to play. Shortstop, and that is the longest consecutive start run at shortstop since Cal Ripken, Jeff Houston's old teammate. This is on the ground, and Nolan, is he going to make this play? Of course he is. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Escobar's out by 2 steps. What a play by Nolan. And this crowd in Kansas City gets to see firsthand what I'm sure they've read about.
There's several fans giving Nolan a standing ovation after this play for a backhand jumping. He reached to the as far away from him as possible, resets his feet.
Simply the best. Don Gray wanted to give him a standing ovation, but he was crouching so he didn't get hit with that baseball. Alex Gordon. He has struggled so much. He's now batting in the bottom of the Royals lineup. He's a former star player. Hitting just 198 this year with only 5 home runs. They're getting him a little more upright like he was a few years ago when he was a tremendous offensive player. Dale Swain has got him out of a crouch he'd kind of been working on. Bobbled, and wow, this is This is unbelievable. That's as routine as it gets. This is a carryover from Sunday. Got a pass ball force in a run, and now on a really routine play. Reynolds didn't control it, and then the flip to Gray was not handled. And on that error, Gordon is on with 1 out instead of 2 outs and nobody on base. If you're the manager, what do? You just look away. Talking about a great fielder in Reynolds. And then that underhand toss, because he had to rush, was a little hot.
Just could be one of those errors that you chalk up as a horrible play, and hopefully you can get the next pitch to be a ground ball out and turn double play. Follow it up.
It's the 5th error on Reynolds. Merrifield had a base hit. Fouls that slider off. Naturally, you hope John can pick up Mark. That's how it works in baseball. Works in sports that way. You pick your teammate up. And you also hope that, you know, he isn't forced to throw, 10, 12, 15 extra pitches.
Merrifield on his own in the first inning basically created the first run of the game. Base hit opposite field, steals second base, moves to third on a ground ball, and with the pass ball, it's 1-0 Merrifield.
Gordon takes off, and this is fouled off. He strikes the count on Merrifield. Not Blackman's territory in terms of hitting home runs out of the leadoff spot. Charlie's on the cusp of his 30th. But Merrifield's got pop. He's got 14 home runs. Two's fouled off. But Whit Merrifield will always be immensely popular in Columbia, South Carolina. He's from North Carolina. That doesn't make him popular in South Carolina. But what does is that his junior year in the College World Series north of here in Omaha, in the 11th inning, he had the game-winning hit to beat UCLA and hand South Carolina a national championship. This ball's turned on, hit a long way to left, and it is going to go foul, fortunately.
2 at bats, he's been a total thorn in the side to John Gray. He's not been able to put him away. I remember talking to Whit Merrifield earlier about that game-winning hit in the College World Series. He said he was a rock star on campus.
I bet he was. That was the final game ever played at Rosenblatt.
Right.
That is enough of the baseball that Jonathan couldn't hold it, so it remains 2 strikes.
Well, as a unit, Kansas City Royals still one of the most difficult teams to strike out in baseball. Less than 20%. League average for teams in baseball is 21.5% strikeout rate.
What's interesting is they're a really aggressive team. They swing at first pitches as much as just about any team in baseball. They have a really high chase percentage, second highest in baseball, but they put the ball in play.
They also walk the fewest in baseball, 305.
That's got to be frustrating right now for John. He's making quality pitches, but he can't get the complete swing and miss. Lorenzo Cain is on deck. Gordon at first, he reached on an error. Reynolds makes the play. Well done by Mark. He had to reach into the. If that's a camera well, if there's, I think those are fans that have one of the little neat features here at Kauffman Stadium on the first base line and third base line. They have like dugout seating. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Cain.
Register today for the opportunity to purchase single game tickets to potential 2017 Rockies post games at Coors Field. Go to Rockies.com/postseason to sign up and check out all the information.
Cain struck out swinging his first at bat. He's one of those guys, you alluded to this earlier, for Kansas City. It's going to be a difficult offseason for Dayton Moore and company because they have a number of free agents. He's one of them. Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas. Cain tried to hit that ball back to Omaha.
Lorenzo Cain coming out of his shoes, not getting cheated on a slider. Didn't do damage knowing that there's a runner at first base. Wants to try to hit the ball in the gap.
Ball and a strike on Cain. Not only has Lorenzo hit well since the All-Star break, over 400. He's hit 379 against the National League this year. They got him. Out at first base. John Gray kept working on Alex Gordon, and he finally picked him off. He said, "You didn't belong there to begin with." He got him. So we'll go to the 4th inning. Rockies trailing 1-0. Absolutely. Used to, when I was really young, I remember seeing my dad play softball, but then we would play this baseball game on Sundays growing up with some other guys from our town.
I told you, my dad and my mom knew nothing about baseball. It was my mom that got me in on baseball because of Fernando Mania.
Okay.
Because my mom was from Guatemala, so our family never played baseball, never played softball until my mom signed me up for T-ball.
I think you told me that as DJ takes that pitch low, 1 ball, 1 strike, your dad went out and bought a bunch of, or went to the library, bought a bunch of VHS
Exactly, yes.
copies of how to play the game of baseball, right? Because that wasn't his background naturally.
It wasn't his background, and I think that benefited me because there was nothing preconceived for him to mess up my swing.
How early on did you realize, you know, I'm pretty, and you're a very humble guy, but how early on did you realize, you know, I'm pretty good at this? Was it Little League? Was it middle school?
Yeah, it was probably around 12 years old where I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty decent at this game.
2-1 on LeMahieu, and that's a called strike, 2-2. And then in high school, you were a record-setting player.
Yes, I was really good. But you've heard me tell this story a million times. I've probably been on 40 teams, and out of the 40 teams I played on, I was the best player on maybe 10. The worst player, I know for a fact, I was the worst player on at least 10 teams.
Those had to be pretty good teams, though.
They were great teams.
And in between on the other 20.
That's exactly right.
Now, how about the renowned Foresters out of Santa Barbara? Where were you on the Foresters?
The worst on the Foresters.
You were?
Yeah, because all these guys are from really good colleges, and not that UC Santa Barbara wasn't a good college, it was a great college, but I was the worst player on UCSB as a college player, where all the good players came to Santa Barbara. Follow?
Yeah, I got you. DJ has typically been one of the best players on whatever team he's been on. Growing up in Michigan, he was a stud, and then down to LSU. Because he had a little later birthday, he only spent 2 years in Baton Rouge. He was draft eligible after his sophomore year. Here's the 3-2, and LeMahieu hits it on the ground to third. Mustakas throws him out. Well, it's either the Rockies or it's Danny Duffy, but Duffy, who had the 6+ ERA over his last 3 outings, has not allowed a hit so far. The only base runner, Nolan, who walked on a 3-2 pitch in the first.
Well, they signed Danny Duffy to be Kansas City Royals ace. 5 years, $65 million after 2016, where he had a 3.5 ERA.
You know, Nolan's been candid of late, saying, hey, we have to play better. We got to get things going. We talked about it in the open about the Rockies playing considerably better out on the road, get back to where they were the first 2.5 months or so of the season when they went 24-11. They're just 6-20 out on the road since then. And I think Nolan was one of those ones who counter said it's not just on the road. He's coming off a 3-4 homestand. We just have to play better. And I thought Buddy made a great point. He said, when the key moments of a game come up, this has popped up, we have to win those moments. You know, when the game is in the balance. And those moments, as you well know, Spilly, are not always in the 9th inning or the 8th inning. Sometimes
it can happen in the first inning.
Right, or, complexion of the game, it's a 6th inning, it's, a 2-2 game, and there's an opportunity, whether it be offensive or defensive. Lately the Rockies have needed some productive outs to add on offensively, and they haven't been able to get it. A lot of empty at-bats. Reynolds struck out looking his first time. That ball goes foul. And Duffy gets another pop-up. Rockies have had trouble finding the barrel or anything close to resembling a hit so far. On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By Bond Fees, it takes all types to save lives, give blood. And by UC Health, live extraordinary. We're in Kansas City, Missouri. The Royals have a 1-0 lead. They have only one hit. The run came in on a pass ball in the first. Lorenzo Cain will continue his at-bat here in the fourth inning. He was at the plate when Alex Gordon was picked off by John Gray to end the third. Melky Cabrera, Eric Hosmer. 2, 3, and 4 for Kansas City, and Gray's curveball. She likes to break out, usually the second time through the lineup. He's fouled off. Cain is hitting 7 straight. I would think of their list of free agents that the #1 priority would have to be Eric Hosmer. Hosmer, not only an all-star, he's having a great year at first base. He's a Gold Glove defender, and he is the leader of this team along with Salvador Perez, and they happen to be best friends. That's another strikeout of Cain. Good job by John Gray, and that's number 4 this evening for Big John.
Well, that's why I loved what Dayton Moore did with this group of guys, because from April and May, the Kansas City Royals were 22 and 30. June and July, they rallied together. They knew they went back-to-back World Series. They won as a group. They go 33 and 19. Changed the whole narrative of how they were going to move forward, because Hosmer was one of those names that was getting tossed around. Hey, let's trade this guy because of the value. It's so high. And a guy like Eric Hosmer, as much as you might want to keep him, he might cost an arm and a leg.
Certainly an arm, maybe half a leg.
Maybe half a leg.
Now the thing is the Royals are in the middle of it still. One of 9 teams within 5 games of the wild card. The 2 wild card spots. So it's unlikely they're going to dump him out. Then you're looking at making a qualifying offer if you don't think you can come to a contractual agreement and taking the draft pick. This ball's lined to right and into the corner. It'll be, well, it's stopped there, and now Cabrera is going to try for third, and he'll get there easily. Boy, that was fortunate for Cabrera. It was going to be a double, and then it hit something along the wall that sent the ball the other direction again, away from Cargo.
Many people remember Melky Cabrera's base hit against Kyle Freeland in Colorado because it broke up the no-hitter, and it hits the bullpen fencing. Melky smelling that triple. Puts itself in a position now where the Royals can answer again with another run without getting a base hit.
And because of the way Duffy's pitching, down 1 run already, the Rockies pull the infield in against Hosmer. This is the, in a talented lineup, this is the one guy you don't want to beat you. 315 average, 20 home runs. Oh, and 1. Good pitch. Got a good slider tonight. He's able to throw it, Spilly, on the arm side and the glove side.
Yeah, we've seen that coming from him several times, and more importantly, he's able to throw it for strikes in locations that hitters can't fire at. Sometimes we'll see strike sliders that are center cut, middle. But for John, it's been a good located quality slider on the outside part of the plate.
Strikeout here, and look at this. This is going to get the run home. What a break for Kansas City. Bounced off the plate. A Baltimore chop single, despite the great effort by Nolan.
Nolan's watching this ball as it's up in the air and knows that he has no shot at first base, so he makes the attempt to go towards home. Wherever this lucky rabbit's foot is, somebody needs to grab it and take it away from the Royals from today's game.
They're calling it a fielder's choice RBI. Now they're going to change it. I couldn't believe they call that a fielder's choice. That's an infield hit, and now they are saying it's an infield hit. Hosmer's 69th RBI. Here's Perez. Bad break because it was going to be a double, and then the ball hits that little section of the wall where it goes the other way, and it turns a double into a triple. And then Gray pitched Hosmer really well, and he hits a ball that bounces in the air about 40 feet. And Perez hits one in the gap in right center field. Hosmer runs well. He's to third. He gets a green light. He'll score, and it's 3-0 Kansas City.
Salvador Perez, very aggressive, gets a pitch, fastball that he can handle. Splits the gap. Tell the long strides of Eric Hosmer. He's going to score easily from first.
Well, now you have an uncomfortable number up there, especially the way Duffy's pitching. 3 runs for Kansas City.
Well, 3 runs or 4 runs, whatever the number ends up being, the Rockies have no runs. They have to find a way to score offensively.
They've got no hits right now. Bottom of the 4th inning. Stockis takes a curveball for a strike. He's got an 11-game hitting streak. Hit a fly ball to center field his first time up. Well, a little adversity, a little bad luck, and that's where John needs to put his foot down. We talked about in the past, there's always seems to be one inning that hurts Gray, and that's a line drive that is caught by Reynolds. Ball got away for a moment from Story. 2 outs.
Well, the first time through the lineup for John, he has basically dominated major league hitters, sub 200 batting average. The second and third time through, you can see how much the numbers jump up, and that is why the slider has been so important to him, and then adding the curveball, so it's not a straight mix of fastball slider.
Brandon Moss, a strikeout in the second. Also one of those nights where you look at Gray and you look at the stuff and you say, he's got really good stuff. And now, unfortunately, he's down 3-0. When you're a starting pitcher, you can't finish second.
Need to win the race.
Rockies have to figure out Danny Duffy. First thing first, they have to get off the field here. High fly ball to Cargo in right. This will end the inning, but the Royals tack 2 on. They now have a 3-0 lead going to the 5th. Rockies looking for their first hit.
Kansas City. Decent amount of Rockies fans at Kauffman Stadium, and I found Grant and Liz. Grant, give me the story on the Spilly is my homeboy post.
Well, we've been seeing Spilly every night, and he's never brought us any nachos. So we're trying to get him to bring us some food. We saw him bark in the park. He had some food then.
You interviewed a lot of dogs that night.
Yeah. Yep.
So you figured you might be able to talk him into nachos.
Well, that's what we try. I didn't realize he was up in the booth tonight, and he's not able to come down and hang out with us, but maybe next time.
He said maybe he'll wait. I'm listening, Spilly.
Yeah, I offered Grant some tickets, and so I left him tickets for tomorrow night's game. So I'll make it up. I'll leave nachos at the seats for Grant. Part of the reason why I thought I should leave him tickets is I thought he was Corey Dickerson's older brother.
Spilly thought maybe you were related to Corey Dickerson, too, so.
Oh, if only, if only.
Yeah, I see it's an autograph. It's an autograph. So he said tickets tomorrow, and if he can swing it, maybe some nachos at your seat.
Nice.
Are you guys from Colorado or here?
I'm from Colorado. She's from Missouri, but I've converted her into a Colorado Rockies fan.
Yes.
Nice.
And now we live in Kansas City, so.
That is excellent work, Grant.
Yeah.
You're on board, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
She wants to meet Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado.
Nolan and Spilly.
I might
She wants to meet Nolan.
leave him for Arenado if possible.
Grant might have something to say about that.
But
But okay.
I did.
Okay.
Good to see you guys. We love it. Spilly's my home. He's everybody's homeboy.
I'll have it every time tomorrow.
Good move.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow,
Thanks.
Grant.
They'll see you tomorrow, they said.
Awesome.
Guys.
They have good handwriting, too.
They do.
Yeah. Well, it's well done. It's easy to read. You can read that from like 16 miles away. One out on the fly ball to left by Lucroy. Here's Cargo. He popped up on a 2-0 pitch his first time. The Rockies without a hit with one out in the fifth inning. Saw a bunch of Rockies fans earlier today huddled behind the Rockies dugout. Great to see on the road.
Well, Rockies fans know this is an important series. It's a very important road trip.
I know a bunch of people also came over from Denver. Quick flight. One ball, one strike. Cargo hits this one to first. Hosmer with a good lead for Duffy. 2 outs. But he was running the option.
Speed option from Eric Hosmer to Danny Duffy. What's impressive is watch how Danny Duffy receives this baseball and in one move is able to touch the bag. If he stumbles looking for the base, Cargo might be safe at first.
2 outs, nobody on. Again, the Rockies' only base runner was Nolan. Back in the first with 2 outs, he walked. Story struck out swinging his first time on a changeup. 3 runs, 4 hits for Kansas City. First to 3 here at Kauffman Stadium. 6-game road trip for Colorado. Also, they'll play 3 in Atlanta. That's unusual. That's like one of the few times that it has not been strike one from Duffy tonight. One of the issues this year for Trevor is when he has gotten himself in a hitter's count like 2-0-3-1, he hasn't done the kind of damage that count generally sees. He's hit 267 with a 3-1 count. That's his highest batting average by count. And as you know, Spilly, 2-0-3-1, you're usually going to see a real robust average. 3-0 and a 4-pitch walk to Story.
I think the adjustment the league has made to Trevor is that Trevor's hit the long ball off fastballs. So in hitters counts, he's not getting fastballs that he can handle. A lot more off-speed pitches throwing him off.
Leica fouls that first pitch off. He struck out swinging his first time up. 4 strikeouts for Duffy. Rockies began this game 30-31 on the road. First time all year they've been beneath 500 on the road. Got off to their best start ever. Did not lose a series in their first 11 road series. 24-11. But just 6-20 since then. Inside. The Rockies, June and July were great at home. What they did early on the road, even 8-10 in June. Take that. They were on the road most of June. It forces you, to win at such a high rate at home, and the Rockies were for a while, but even that's not sustainable. And case in point, the week that just was when the Rockies went 3-4 at Coors Field. 1-2 on Valleca. Story at first. He'll draw a throw.
We've always noted the Rockies, if they make the playoffs, they're 500 on the road, and then 10 to 15 games over 500 at home. And this year they're 30-31 on the road.
And Valleca goes down. Duffy still is not allowed to hit through 5 innings.
Time to change seats.
Challenge question. Go to AT&T Sportsnet RMF Twitter to cast your vote. We'll show you the results during our post-game show. Well, that looks good. You getting some of that later, by the way?
No! 2 more days.
What's your favorite barbecue meat? Brisket, ribs, chicken, or hot legs? Ribs. No brainer for me.
I'm with you. I'm a big ribs guy, but brisket's hard to beat.
It's all good. Alcides Escobar on a curveball hits a fly ball to shallow left. Toppy is there. 1 pitch, 1 out. Now bring up the 9th place hitter, Alex Gordon, from star at the University of Nebraska.
So we have some numbers to follow with what you were talking with, how big of a struggle it's been for Alex Gordon, even Alcides Escobar. On our stats pass WAR values that we get, out of 153 qualified players in all Major League Baseball, Alex Gordon was 152nd with a -2.3, which is very difficult to do. Escobar's right behind him with a -2.8. That's essentially saying between these two guys, Gordon and Escobar, they've cost the Royals close to 5 games.
Yeah, some of the metrics, or all of the metrics, have not been kind to Alex Gordon. Just trying to grind his way through it. He's still a plus defender in left field. Two and one on Gordon. 3-1. All-Star 3 consecutive years, 13, 14, and 15. Remember early on in his career, high pick, everybody knew about him. He really struggled and was sent down for a while. And then he kind of came into his own. Averaged 17 home runs, close to 70 RBIs during those all-star seasons. Merrifield, or as I like to call him, Whitfield. Strike 3 on the inside corner. 2 out, strikeout number 5 for Gray.
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for full details. John Gray's thinking to himself, how am I going to get this guy out in less than 3 pitches? Merrifield's seen on the night over 15.
Curveball's high, 1-0 on Merrifield, who had a 19-game hitting streak back in May. It ended in early June. That's tied for the longest hitting streak in baseball this year. Scored a run in the first after a hit, a stolen base. Moved up on a fielder's choice, scored on a pass ball. Rockies down 3-0. Gray's only allowed 4 hits. Rockies have committed an error and that pass ball. The Rockies do not have a hit yet against Danny Duffy.
Switch seats.
Two on the ground is short, and Story with a good throw, and it's a 1-2-3 fifth inning for Gray. If the Rockies can figure out Duffy in the 6th, Tapia, then the top of the order. Yeah, that would be fitting, wouldn't it be, Ashley? Collins pacing around, talking to Darren Holmes a moment ago. 3-0 Kansas City. Rockies with Tapia at the plate. And then Blackman and LeMahieu looking for their first hit. And that's a soft liner, gloved at second by Merrifield, 1 out.
Sure, it's got to be strange for Greg Holland returning to this ballpark and going in the opposite bullpen that he's used to.
Charlie's hit a couple of weak ground balls to the right side. Almost never see that. Back-to-back at bats for Blackman, hitting .404 over his last 13 games. On and on and on. What a great year Charlie's had. 1 strike. Duffy's commanding all 3 pitches. He's throwing the slider for strikes. He's throwing the changeup for strikes. Perez goes to the outside corner, and that breaking ball is down.
So I asked around, and it's a little strange. I was noticing the bullpens for the Rockies. The Royals bullpen's in left field, even though the Rockies dugout is down the third baseline. And so Greg Holland's actually back in the bullpen he's familiar with. The Royals switched bullpens 2 years ago. They flip-flopped.
Is that so the bench can see the bullpen? Well, I've seen that done before. Is that because it's difficult on the home side when the bullpen is down the right field line, I think, to get a clear view of it? That's a guess, but I have seen that happen before.
That guess was verified. Not by Twitter, but by one of the people working behind us.
Charlie battling behind in the count 1-2. You were talking about WAR a few minutes ago. Charlie, according to Fangraphs, is 5th in WAR. Wins above replacement in all of baseball. And that's strike 3. That's a fastball, and that is the 6th strikeout for Duffy. And it's right there. Guys aren't picking him up. When Charlie Blackmon lets a pitch like that go by,
Duffy's painting tonight. Everything is well located. He's using 4 pitches, pitching both sides of the plate, and there's deception. Duffy stands on the first base side of the rubber. Just with his arm action, his swing, the way he puts the glove up, makes it real difficult for hitters to pick it up. By going on that first base side of the rubber, it creates that crossfire action for a lefty, and that's what he's able to do on right-handers. He's able to throw the fastball in and then can throw the changeup away. Give you a good view of what it looks like. Charlie's a lefty, so you can see how he's closed off the first base side. And as he comes, you can see how he hides that baseball. Crossfire to Salvador Perez on the outer part of the plate away from Charlie.
and that's fouled off. 1-2 on LeMahieu. Duffy was a third-round pick of the Royals out of high school. Turned down an offer to pitch at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Duffy was part of Team USA during the WBC. Got a gold medal from that tournament. Two outs, 2-2 on LeMahieu. Strikeout and a ground ball to third. No swing according to Eric Cooper. 3-2.
And Duffy's definitely has all his pitches working. The fastball he can throw into righties. The crossfire action just threw a back foot slider. All Clayton Kershaw.
Throwing changeups quite a bit with 2 strikes. 3-2 fastball. And 94 is fouled back.
Don't miss the action when the Detroit Tigers make a rare appearance at Coors Field August 28th through the 30th. Purchase your tickets online at Rockies.com.
That just missed, and it's the third walk issued by Duffy. And that'll bring up Nolan with DJ at first.
Danny Duffy throwing the changeup, 3-2. Rockies get a break. Pitch inside the Subaru strike zone. Here comes the Rockies' best hitter against lefties this season. I don't get picked off.
Nolan at 1251 OPS against lefties this year. 0 for 1. He walked back in the first. First pitch changeup.
And the Rockies will not take any chance of stealing DJ, especially off Danny Duffy's only 2 stolen bases attempted this season off of him.
Not with this guy at the plate, down 3 runs.
Nope.
In the air, center field, pretty well hit. Kane going back, still going back, and Nolan's hit it out. That ball just carried and carried, and now the Rockies are right back in there. First hit of the game, a 2-run home run in the 6th by Arenado. How special was that?
Just goes back to the 3-2 pitch on a game where everything has mattered tonight. Nolan gets a fastball he can handle, and he knew off the bat that he clipped it. That takes a strong human to hit it out to dead center at Kauffman Stadium.
Whole new ball game. Rockies were just trying to get a base hit.
On the Subaru Supermo, the fastball, and Nolan does such a good job driving that right arm straight through the baseball.
Two 2-0 on Reynolds. Home run number 28 for Nolan. RBIs 106 and 107. It's now tied with your good buddy Matt Holliday for 7th on the all-time, 8th on the all-time ribbies list. 483. Two 2-1. 3-1 with Lucroy on deck. This is a large yard. It plays big. Hard to ever assume a home run. That's down the line foul. Kane went back thinking he would have a play at some point. He just ran out of room. It's one of those places where you don't even see a ton of home runs in BP.
It's true.
On the ground is short. Escobar bobbles it, and Mark Reynolds reaches. You can see that one coming.
in between hop on Escobar, sitting on his heels, waiting for the ball to come up to him, knowing that Reynolds isn't the fastest of runners. This extra hop just eats him up.
His 13th error of the year. Dave Island goes out. You always want to go out when a guy's throwing a one-hitter in the 6th inning, right? Doesn't happen much. But now the Rockies have the tying run on base. And Jonathan Lucroy at the plate, 0 for 2.
Well, the stat lines on tonight's scoreboard just look strange.
Looks really strange.
2 runs, 1 hit, 1 error for the Rockies. 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Royals.
Duffy's ability to throw that changeup tonight, that's been the difference maker for me. I mean, he's thrown it early in counts to get ahead. He's thrown it on the rare occasion he's been behind in counts. He's thrown it to get swings and misses on 0-2 pitches. So he goes changeup, fastball, and now he's 0-2 on Lucroy.
And that changeup, he's throwing it not only down and away to righties, he's throwing some changeups in. So for a hitter, when you're watching the fastball coming in on the inside part of the plate, if you throw a changeup off of that, you get those type of swings.
Fastball strikes out Lucroy, but the Rockies get their first hit, and how big was it? 411 feet big with a man aboard. And now the Rockies within a run after Nolan goes deep.
Arenado hits a 2-run homer. There's the retired number 5 of George Brett. It got us thinking, how about the cornerstones for these two franchises? George Brett, 20 years, started back in '73 at 20 years of age. And then there's Nolan, who was 22 when he debuted in 2013. This is the numbers through their first 682 games. The comparison at the start of play tonight. They were both, as you know, at the top of their game. Take a look at these again and show you some of the accolades. So a batting title in 3 different decades for George Brett, and you know, Nolan with the Gold Gloves, 2 home run and RBI titles. It's just a neat thing to compare these two guys.
Yeah, and Mark, listen, George Brett's an all-timer, right?
Yes.
But I don't think you will get any argument from any astute observer of the game of baseball at this level who would not suggest that Nolan is on a Hall of Fame arc. And those numbers bear that out. Kane hits it to Charlie in deep center. 1 out.
Well, Nolan already made the great play earlier in the game. Play at third base. That somebody saw that, they were like, wow, that's a Gold Glove play. And then last inning with the homer to dead central to give the Rocks a chance to get back in this game. Here's that play that Nolan made earlier.
And this is Alcides Escobar running, okay? This is not Steve Balboni from 30 years ago, who would need a golf cart to get up the line. I'm not trying to knock Steve Balboni, he's a big slugger. Melky Cabrera tripled and scored in the 4th when the Royals got 2 runs. They're up 3-2.
Tell me when the last time, Drew, you've seen a third baseman make a jump throw from the coach's box. There's the coach's box. I've never seen a guy jump on that side of the line. Look at, that's incredible.
3-0 on Cabrera. Got another angle of it.
In your mind, I mean, there might have been 1 or 2 plays in the last couple of years that we've seen. Manny Machado has made a play similar. But from that part of the field of play.
Baseball America just had its annual issue of Best Tools, and this isn't a writer just deciding on his own arbitrarily who he feels has the best arm, who's the best power hitter, or who's the fastest runner, that sort of thing. They interview a great number of managers, coaches, and scouts, and they come up with their list. They do it at the minor league level also.
Oh,
Gray comes all the way back, paints Melky Cabrera for the 2nd out. That strikeout number 6 may have been just off the corner.
From 3-0 to a backwards K.
Gotta like it.
Love it. See what looks like a backdoor slider received very well by Jonathan Lucroy.
Yep, stuck that pitch. That'll bring up Hosmer. He had a base hit in the 4th. Nolan almost made an unbelievable play on that. Baltimore chop off the plate with Cabrera at 3rd. Nolan jumped, caught it with 1 hand, and fired to the plate. Just wasn't quite in time. Turned out to be an infield hit for Hosmer. Anyhow, get back to Baseball America. So all those scouts, coaches, managers, among many things that Nolan was feted for, Baseball America said best infield arm.
Yeah, it's accuracy, the arm strength. I mean, you're jumping away from first base into the dugout from the coach's box and threw out a pretty fast runner with an accurate throw.
Yeah. Well, John Gray just fell behind 3-0 on Cabrera, came back and struck him out. Now he's 3-0 on Eric Hosmer. 85 pitches in as he works in the 6th inning. Giving up 3 runs, 2 earned. And that's down. That's the first walk allowed tonight by John. He struck out 6. That's been a trend also for John. A positives trend over his last 5 games. Coming into tonight, he had struck out 28, walked only 6. So now it's 34 over 7, almost a 5-to-1 ratio over 6 starts. That's tremendous. Salvador Perez, he had a run-scoring double back in the 4th inning. Got a fastball out over the plate about thigh high.
See if Hosmer maybe takes a chance to steal second base. 6 stolen bases on the season, hasn't been caught once.
Really good athlete. And think about the WBC for a moment, folks. If you could flash back to March, that very talented Team USA had 2 pretty good first basemen, Eric Hosmer, Paul Goldschmidt. And the Rockies see Goldie all the time. And for me, he's one of the 3 or 4 best players in the game.
No argument here.
Eric Hosmer ended up playing all the time for Team USA, not Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt started initially, you know, it's a tournament, and didn't have, you know, a great number of hits in the first couple of games. Hosmer got the next start by Jim Leland, and he anchored himself at first base, never came out of the lineup. It was Goldschmidt watching. 0-2 on Perez, and that's up the middle and under the diving reach of LeMahieu. A base hit on an 0-2 pitch. And that right there, hopefully it does not come back to haunt John Gray. But those are little points in a game that Buddy Black was talking about earlier. And this is just a good piece of hitting, because that pitch is off the plate. But where the game sometimes is in the balance, and it's not always the ninth inning, ahead 0-2, you just hate to give up any kind of knock.
Mislocation for John Gray. Lucroy wanted that pitch up. Yes, Salvador Perez ends up hitting a bad pitch down and away. It's still mislocation. I mean, that's incredible hitting.
That's 8-10 inches off the plate. And now you have the lefty slugger, third baseman Mike Moustakas with 35 home runs. Fly ball to center field and a line drive to Mark Reynolds at first. Well, this is another one of those situations. The Rockies have the 2-run home run. That's it on offense from Nolan. They're within a run. It's 2 outs. There's 2 on. Gray has to save his best pitching for right now. And this matchup with Mike Moustakas.
This is where all the numbers come to a head. You look at what John Gray has done with runners in scoring position, 2 outs, 1 for 24. You look at the Kansas City Royals as a team. They've hit 229 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. But then Moustakas right here is the team's best hitter in 313. So you got all these crazy numbers all at once.
One 1-0 on Moustakas. Whipped the curveball up and in there for strike 1-1. This is top to Mark Reynolds. Good job, John Gray. Works out of a little situation. He keeps it a 1-run game as we go to inning number 7. 3-2 Royals. leading, and despite the fact that Danny Duffy's given up just 1 hit and threw only 88 pitches, he's out of there. It'll be Mike Minor making his 50th appearance. Mike was really good in the first half. He's taken some lumps in the second half. He may be in. Let's see. Oh, I don't see anybody warming up in the Royals bullpen. I thought he may be in just for cargo because lefties hit just 141 against Minor.
Yeah, that 141 batting average is 4th lowest in the American League. The former starting pitcher that is now in the bullpen, and as we've seen with a lot of, I don't like calling him failed starters, but a guy that has gone with the stuff that he has to the bullpen. He brings a lot of pitches with him.
Former starters.
Former starters.
Yeah. The Cargo in a 1-run game leading off. Popped out, grounded out. Rockies have 1 hit, but it was a big one. 2-run home run from Nolan Arenado. Buddy Black and John Gray visiting. John unofficially is at 90 pitches through 6. Throwing the ball well. 1-1. This is where the Royals, during their World Series runs of 2014 and 2015, were extraordinarily difficult to beat. It became a 6-inning game with them. Greg Holland was in the middle of that. Wade Davis had emerged at that time, and Kelvin Herrera. You had 3 guys that just did not give anything up. And of course, Greg Holland's with the Rockies, Wade Davis, the Cubs. 2-2. Herrera's still down there. Cargo, especially with 2 strikes, go to left field with authority of late. One out. I'll bring up Story. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. Of the 10 teams in playoff position through August 21st of last year, 9 ended up making the playoffs. The one exception was the Cardinals. Well, that would bode well for the Rockies. They're sitting atop the wild card chase in the National League.
The Cardinals, through that time, through August 21st, they were 66 and 57. They ended up getting caught by the New York Mets, who were 62 and 62 at the time, but played 25 and 13 for the rest of the year.
Listen, every baseball player knows that there's a whole lot of season left. Tonight is game number 125 for the Rockies. And baseball history is littered with so many stories of teams making great runs, like the 07 Rockies. And also, you know, the other side of things where teams, you know, seemingly fall apart late in the year. The Mets, when they were 7-up on the Phillies with 17 to play and lost.
I remember back to the Atlanta Braves. Was it 2010 where they fell apart down the stretch?
Just got to keep grinding away. 2-1 on Trevor.
That was a situation, 2-1 count, where Trevor's looking fastball. Minor pulls a string on him, throws an off-speed pitch, changeup.
Looked like Duffy's changeup. Down the line, just foul. Of course, there was the Phillies team of 64. They were up 6.5 games with 12 to play and somehow managed to finish second. So I always love when writers or fellow broadcasters start throwing out absolutes on teams. Now, you know what? You give the Dodgers a division. I don't think you're fooled to say the Dodgers are going to win the National League West. But you can't assume anything else. Too crazy a sport. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Valleca. Had it struck out twice. Rockies have struck out as a team 9 times tonight. 3-2 Kansas City. 5 hits for the Royals, 1 hit for the Rockies. Left field, Alex Gordon. Minor gets the Rockies in order in the 7th. AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. On a pretty Kansas City Tuesday night in front of 22,868. The Rockies in the bottom of the 7th have John Gray with pitch number 93, trailing 3-2. And he misses ball 1 on Brandon Moss. 7th big league team for Moss. And that's a strike. Good fastball rides in on the hands at 95, and it's a 2-strike count. John tonight in 6 innings has allowed 3 runs, 2 earned, 5 hits. A single walk, 6 strikeouts. And that's a great pickup by Reynolds. 1 out. Tremendous play by Mark.
Mark making up for an earlier miscue. On an easy ground ball, he made an error on this one. Looked like Patrick Watt. Goes to a knee, waits for the hop, watches it into the glove.
Rockies will get Pat Neshek up. Alcides Escobar 0 for 2. He's the one robbed on that great play by Nolan back in the 3rd. Hey, another reason that was a huge play.
Lead off the inning, double.
It was a leadoff situation, and you're right, it goes down the line. It's a double.
Neshek getting loose.
Going to get Gray through this 7th inning.
Assuming knee checks for Whit Merrifield.
The second on one hop, DJ. Easy play.
Let Coors Field be the backdrop for your next game day or non-game day meeting or special event. Groups of 15 to 200 will enjoy great views of the city as well as the field from this unique venue. John Gray now at 100 pitches. 108 is a season high. He had that earlier in July against the Reds.
Here's Alex Gordon. And Gordon with a base hit. Jason Hamill on the top step applauding his teammate. And that'll be all for Gray. With Merrifield coming up, Pat Neshek will be coming in. 3-2 Kansas City. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Colorado Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Say yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by the Wyoming Office of Tourism, Wyoming is full of adventure. It's time to find out if you are too. That's why travelwyoming.com. Here's the deal. In Kansas City, the Royals have a 3-2 lead. They're 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. And after a base hit by Alex Gordon, the Rockies will go to Pat Neshek to face Whit Merrifield.
Neshek threw a clean inning on Saturday against the Brewers. The strikeout.
And a first pitch strike on Merrifield, a base hit in the first and a run scored. He also had a stolen base. That's the difference in the game right now, that run that scored on the pass ball. Merrifield fouled out to first. Good play reaching over the fence by Mark Reynolds. Also ground ball to short. 2-strike count.
I think I've mentioned these numbers before, but Pat Neshek is one of a handful of relievers in Major League Baseball that throw a fastball at 40% of the time or above it, in a slider 40% or more. Those other guys, one is in the Kansas City Royals bullpen in Moylan.
Peter Moylan is warming up, yep.
Adam Ottavino and Greg Holland, also 2 other pitchers. So you're looking at 3 of the top 5 in baseball.
This is softly hit to right. Cargo lays out and makes a catch again. That's got to be a half dozen times this year he has laid out head first to make a wonderful grab. That ends the inning. We'll go to the 8th. The Rockies down a run in Kansas City. Great grab by Cargo. Leading as we take a look at our Mako big hit of the night. It's actually the Rockies' only hit tonight, but it was big. With a man aboard, Nolan pops a 2-run home run, and the Rockies went from down 3-0, getting no hit, to a 3-2 ball game. They still have only 1 hit, but they're a big fly away from tying this up. Mike Minor on the left side remains in the game, at least for the first 2 hitters, one would assume. Raimel Tapia, then Charlie Blackmon here in the 8th. And Tapia lays down a good bunt, and it's going to roll foul. It hit the edging of that grass and took a left turn. Otherwise, that is going to be a hit. Moustakas not going to have a play on Tapia.
Tapia is shocked right now because he cannot believe that's perfect. He laid down the perfect bunt, and it just hits the corner of the lip.
But, you know, it hit the first lip, and watch it pops up in the air and sends it a little bit to its left. Spilly, if that doesn't hit that first lip, that's going to be a base hit. Gotta be kidding. Now Moustakas is in on the grass, about 75 feet away. And this is up the middle on the backhand. It's taken by Whitfield. By Merrifield. I have a mental block. I keep calling him Whitfield. Whit Merrifield. 1 out. Blackmon 0 for 3. Rarest of days when he walks up to the plate late in the ball game and has not been on.
The Rockies have not had a leadoff batter reach this game. When you're looking at Rockies offense, how to get some offense going, you can't have from 4 down through the lineup not have anything productive.
Blackmon facing Minor for just the 2nd time in his career. He's 0 for 1. A delayed strike call, but it was unquestionably in there. Charlie's hitting .350 in interleague play coming into today's ball game. And another strike. There's the Subaru strike zone. That one looked to be a tad outside. 1-2 on Charlie. And a called strike 3, and Blackman is incensed. He said that is outside. That's 2 in a row. He argues with Dan Iasanya. He walks away to stay in the game, but that pitch was even more outside than the previous one.
See how Salvador Perez receives this, and he can understand the argument for Charlie Blackman. He gets a first pitch inside, and he's looking at the strike zone. I do appreciate that Charlie's allowed to get it off his chest. Iasanya allows him to have his piece without throwing him out.
2 outs. Peter Moylan will come in. It remains 3-2 Kansas City.
Of the 8th inning, fans drop off any new or gently used children's book at your neighborhood UPS store between now and September 2nd and receive 2 complimentary Rockies tickets to a select game in September while supplies last. Australian native Peter Moylan now into the game over the season. 43 2/3, one of the more dependable relievers for Ned Yost, keeping that opponent average down. 209. He's been fantastic against righties.
And he's been really good in the second half. The opposition just 7 for 47 against Moylan. He's had back issues in his recent past, but pitching good baseball for Kansas City. 2 outs and DJ at the plate. He's 0 for 3 against Moylan. Comes a little bit from down under.
Down under.
Down under. 2 outs in the 8th. Rockies have had 5 base runners, 3 walks. Reynolds reached on an error. The only hit, a Nolan 2-run home run in the 6th. And DJ's out. Moylan dove, couldn't get it, but Whit Merrifield made a nice play. Look back. Eric Hosmer hits this one off the plate with Melky Cabrera at third. Despite a marvelous effort by Nolan, he was safe there. And then Salvador Perez just came off the disabled list. He was on the DL for 16 days. He drives in Hosmer with a double. Rockies were being no-hit until the 6th inning, and with a man aboard, Nolan hits a 2-run home run. It is 3-2. The Rockies trail Kansas City. They have that one hit to show for their evening through 8 innings. The 2-run home run by Nolan. Pat Neshek begins Lorenzo Cain with a swinging strike, so it's 0-1. The Rockies try to rally in the 9th. First things first, they got to keep it a 1-run game. 2-strike count on Cain, who's 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts on a lineout. A 7-game hitting streak coming in. Rockies will see Kelvin Herrera in the 9th, who's 26 out of 29 in save situations. One ball, 2 strikes. You can hear what Dan Asani is saying to Buddy Black. Because I didn't see or hear a tip.
Well, it's hard to tell. Oh, because you're looking for interference. Lorenzo Cain hit Jonathan Lucro's glove. I don't know what they're paying attention to.
I agree with you on Dan Iasanya a moment ago. He allowed Charlie to say his piece. Charlie, kept moving. And Iasanya did not run him. There are some umpires that, as vociferous as his argument was initially, talking about Charlie, may have run him. That pitch was really close. Pat Neshek's going to take a walk. I think he thought he had the strikeout here.
I think he did too on the Subaru Supermo. Neshek threw up the claw. Well, pitch 6 would have been the
right
pitch right at the bottom of the zone. Well, tonight it's gone both ways, so you can't say that the Rockies have been picked on, because there was a pitch, 3-2 pitch to DJ that allowed the 2-run home run to follow up.
Good point. DJ putting his glove out for Cargo, and he'll make the catch.
Well, the play that ended the inning brought a lot of smiles on both sides of the field. Peter Moylan doing his best effort. You can see on the Subaru Supermo how close he was to catching it. Caught a lot more grief than the baseball from his teammates. A nice face plant.
Neshek will check out. Cabrera coming up, and then Hosmer. So Mike Dunn will come in. 1-run game. he pitched well. Last 3 runs, just 2 earned, a walk and 6 strikeouts. But unfortunately, Danny Duffy was even better. Duffy, 6 innings of 1-hit baseball. The 1 hit again, the Nolan 2-run home run. But the Rockies will go to the 9th inning, hopefully trailing by just that 1 run, as Mike Dunn will be asked to get the final 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Cabrera triple in 3 at bats. He's now in from the right side, and a good slider, strike 1.
It's been a strange night if you think back to all the different plays, from the Melky Cabrera triple that hit the outfield, the bullpen wall.
Hit away from Cargo, and in all likelihood it was going to be a double. And then that kind of changes the Hosmer at bat.
The high chopper to Nolan, the wild pitch. I mean, even the 3-2 pitch to DJ, and then the 1 hit for the Rockies happens to be a home run to dead center. It's baseball.
It's baseball. Rockies will have Arenado, Reynolds, Lucroy in the 9th. Shallow center, Charlie sprints in, and that is the 2nd out. And that'll bring up Hosmer. Hosmer's 1 for 2 in a walk. Hosmer has reached in 16 straight games. Reached in 26 straight interleague games. Tied with Mark Trumbo for the longest active streak in interleague play. And holds that bat out over the plate. Got electric hands.
He really does, and he tilts that bat straight back. It reminds me a little bit of George Brett. Jason Kipnis does it as well. He's just loading his hands to get himself going towards the plate.
Weekly hit the 2nd, and DJ comes in and makes the play. So we'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies trailing by a run. Nolan will be first up, trying to ignite the Rockies yet again. Rally against Kelvin Herrera, who wants tacos. Fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies do score 7 or more in a game. Kelvin Herrera will face Arenado, Reynolds, Lucroy, and hopefully several more. 50 games this year. He's 26 out of 29 in save opportunities, which is close to 90%. It's one of the top marks in the American League.
That ERA is ballooned up to a 4, but if you look at some of the runs that he's given up, they're primarily in non-save situations. 13 of the 21 runs he's given up come in non-save.
Yeah, he's got a 2.57 ERA in save situations, a 6.16 in non-save situations. He has given up the long ball at times. 8 home runs in 47 innings. And the first pitch is in there for a strike at 97. Here's Nolan breaking up the no-hitter and the shutout with one swing. 28th home run for Arenado. Guy's got a big arm. 99 on that pitch, just off the plate, 1-1.
Yeah, this is the hardest thrower that the Royals have. Fastball that averages a little bit over 97 miles an hour. That number's dropped down over the last couple of years. He used to sit routinely at about 100.
Back up the middle, and Herrera gloves it, 1 out. It'll be Mark Reynolds' turn now.
Well, the Rockies came into today's game second highest batting average in baseball against fastballs over 94 miles an hour. This matchup works out in the Rockies' favor. You still have to put some at-bats together, just something they have not done.
No, of late, every night it seems to be something. Black and a productive out to get a run across, and this is going to be an easy play at short. Two outs, and it'll be up to Lucroy to extend the game. Buddy Black returning to Kansas City. Through 128 ball games for the Royals. Kind of interesting, Danny Duffy tonight made his 127th start. They have identical 3.73 ERAs. Duffy, a current left-hander. Buddy, who was with the Royals in the 80s. Buddy's 13th in club history in victories with 56. 1-0 on Lucroy. 2-0 on Jonathan.
Lucroy is 1 for 2 in his career off Herrera. I'd like to see Cargo get an opportunity.
Lucroy will be taken, and that's from the inside corner at 2-1. See on the Subaru strike zone, it did catch the black portion of that inside corner. Gray looking on. Two and two. Jonathan trying to save an opportunity for Carlos Gonzalez. 2 and 2. Well, you got to have quick hands really to get to that. That was shoulder high at 98.
He'll go to his fastball to strike people out. Fastball above the belt. And that's where the approach of Lucroy, allowing the ball to travel.
You have to make that decision in 0.4 of a second. 2-2. Good eye.
That one's a tough pitch to take on the Subaru strike zone, right at the top of the zone. Better pitch than the one he just fouled off.
3-2 on Jonathan. In the air to right, and that's a fair ball.
Keep going.
Lucroy to second. It's down the line. Lucroy to third, and Stu Cole will stop him there. I don't think Cabrera realized it was fair, because, and it was hard for us to tell because his body on the dive blocked where the ball landed. But the first base umpire, Eric Cooper, was running down the line. So the Rockies, with 2 outs, have the tying run at third. See where this hits. Yeah, you can tell clearly inside the line.
If Melky would have laid there for maybe another second, this is where the Royals teammates did a good job pointing at him to go get the baseball. It would have made an even stranger night because Jonathan Lucroy might have had a chance for an inside the Parker.
How odd would that have been? So Cargo a chance to tie it with 2 outs. 20th career triple for Lucroy.
On the season, Herrera has 2 wild pitches.
Now, this is pretty simple if you're Cargo. Billy, you take us through the at-bat. You got to sit dead red, man.
Looking for a pitch he can handle.
Outside and high, ball 1.
On deck now, Gerardo Parra.
Cargo has never faced Herrera. Two and 0. Parra would hit for Story. Parra was in the original lineup, but the hip where he was hit on Sunday tightened up. He took a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Chase Anderson right on that leg. And it had to be really tight for him not to play, because this guy loves to play. 2-0 pitch. And it's 3-0.
Spraying it all over the Subaru strike zone. Most of the pitches for Herrera between Lucroy and Cargo have all been up in the zone. Now, I would love to give a green light, but not where Cargo's been at lately.
And that's ball 4. So Gerardo Parra is going to come up with runners at first and third and 2 outs. Gerardo, who's having a huge year, batting .343. Dave Island will go out. Here's Sunday. Billy, I'm sure you've worn him all over your body. He played the rest of that game Sunday, but it's always worse the next day.
Plus, with the plane flight right after the game, yeah, they just get really bad. Right in the middle of the quad for Gerardo.
Again, Parra is 2 for 4. He has the most experience against Herrera and the most success.
This is the right guy at the right time.
Absolutely. You could handpick a guy right now based on his success this year and his past history with Herrera. You'd knock on the door of Gerardo Parra. First and third. Here we go. Takes a strike. Andre hoping hoping, like all Rockies fans, that Parra can come through here. Rockies down 3-2 in the ninth.
Ooh.
And a block by Perez.
Salvador Perez has gold on his chest protector for a reason. This saves a run. Big-bodied catcher, and it prevents Cargo from moving up from first to second.
There's a line in baseball you're familiar with, Spilly. All catchers know it. If you call it, you got to block it. He called for the slider. 1-1. And another one in the dirt. 2-1. Well, the Rockies have been starved for something really good to happen in one of these tight games of late. Last 10, they're just 3-7. They have two hits now tonight after the triple by Lucroy. 2-2.
Herrera with the 2-1 changeup. Let's see if Cargo will be on the move, at least take a shot if there's a ball in the dirt.
2-2.
These are one of these situations where if you're Cargo at first, it's a high leg kick for Herrera. Closers typically don't try to keep guys close. You can maybe get some movement. Parra doesn't strike out that often. So maybe he can steal one.
Another good block by the 240-pound backstop, who has 3 gold gloves. Has 4 gold gloves. They're shorted him one.
Now Cargo's gonna move. Well, already at this at bat, Perez has made 2 gold glove type blocks behind home plate.
3-2 with 2 outs. Tying run at third. Ball 4, and they're loaded up for Pat Valaika. And now Amarista will run for Parra because of the leg injury. Royals fans have been standing for 10 minutes thinking they were going to get to celebrate a 1-2-3 inning. First 2 hitters, Arenado and Reynolds, grounded out. Then Lucroy, the fly ball triple down the right field line. Cargo walked, and now Parra has walked. Pat Valaika is 0 for 3. But he has been so good off the bench. This isn't off the bench. That's outside, ball 1. But it's that type of at bat.
This is what you live for. Pat Valaika has lived for this moment throughout the season and has excelled in it. This is also where the Rockies have been at a disadvantage in American League games, because you're asking your best pinch hitter to become the designated hitter.
Now the Rockies, I think tomorrow, just a guess, against a righty and Ian Kennedy, could go back to Tapia from the left side being your DH. Maybe it's Parra because of the leg. And use Valaika off the bench. Here's the 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. And Salvador Perez wants the trainer to come out. He's looking at Herrera and he doesn't think he's right. Now you're in a must-take situation when we resume. If you're Pat Valaika, let's see if there's anything. Oh, you know what? Herrera called him out.
Everybody called each other out. There might be a blister on his finger.
That ball didn't come out of his hand right either.
No.
I'm thinking if the pitcher calls the trainer out, and the pitcher's going to come out of the game, right?
I just watched the trainer and said, you got to come out.
Yep, and there's the move. Now, this is different. You're talking about Scott Alexander coming into a ball game with the bases loaded all of a sudden. He's just watching. He's watching Kelvin Herrera do his thing, and he's going to inherit a 2-0 count. This cannot be comfortable, and if you're Pat Valaika, you're going to walk back over, get a scouting report from Dwayne Espy and Jeff Salazar. You're also going to be reminded all of the pressure in the world is not on your shoulders, it's on Alexander's. 1-run game, 2 outs, bases loaded, top of 9 in Kansas City. So Pat Valaika with a 2-0 count, bases loaded, 2 outs in the 9th. The Rockies trailing by a run, and Scott Alexander is now in there. Alexander's walked 20 in 51 innings. Valaika will be taking you to Zoom, and the first pitch is in there, 2-1. This kid's been up and down. He's actually pitched well the last 4 games. Prior to that, he'd given up a run in 6 straight appearances. Lucroy at third, Cargo the go-ahead run at second. And a ground ball to short. And that'll end the ball game. Rockies made it interesting, but they fall again. They've now lost 21 out of their last 27 on the road. They lose to the Royals 3-2. Danny Duffy gets the victory. He's 8-8. John Gray, who pitched well, takes the loss. He's 5-3, and that's the first save for Alexander. Rockies had just 2 hits tonight. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Danny Duffy had a great changeup going. He had a slider, and he had a fastball that he was able to locate exceptionally well. Rockies did not get a hit against him until the 2-run home run in the 6th by Nolan Arenado. And was the only hit that Duffy would give up. The Rockies got the triple in the 9th inning. And that's their only other hit. That came from Jonathan Lucroy. Again, the final score, Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium tonight defeats the Rockies 3-2. We go to our Denver studios. Here's Jenny and Huey.